Next game, guys, is an enticing one, and that is the New Orleans Saints going on the road to the Texans. And Colin, when you've been, pleasantly surprised by the Texans this season, you've selected them in a couple of games. You did last week against the Falcons, and it was one to look back on and still reflect on how they didn't get over the line on the road and win that game. But CJ Stroud again was really impressive as the rookie quarterback that he is. And the fans of the chances against the Saints team was they won comfortably in New England last weekend. They're not really setting the world afire offensively. They're very much reliant on the defense. How do you see this one playing out on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't know if people watching or listening to it have heard Stroud talk about that kind of last drive that he orchestrated. He's so impressive. Like, he's impressive on the field. He's impressive. He talked about how he was essentially dissecting the defense, and it came both from what he was seeing on the field and also from watching tape and kind of knowing the players' traits. For a rookie, I mean, he really has taken to the league like a duck to water. I mean, they were showing it last week. What was it? 177 was when he set a new record. He's won in and around 190 now already. So you wonder how many more now look, there's going to be interceptions at some point. There will be, I suppose, what would you say? Some rocky moments ahead. But Hank Williams sang "I Saw the Light," and that is the Texans. For so long, they were in the wilderness, really poor decisions. Nick Caserio, and they've got it right. Again, with Mike Herndon talked about it, and you can hear that he was saying if he had a choice in the AFC South for the next 10 years, he had to pick one team to back on. And it pains him as a Titans fan. He said it would be the Texans. The Saints, I think, bullied a really bad Patriots team last week. I don't think they'll be able to bully this Texans team. I'm going to maybe go for a surprise, but they're at home. I think the Texans bounce back from last week and they get the victory over the Saints here.
Shane, Saints obviously did a number on your Patriots last weekend. Defensively very strong, have been for quite a lot of the season, which has led to the victories, bearing in mind the inefficiency of the offense at times. Are you buying the Texans at home in this one, or you think the Saints and the experience that they have defensively will have enough to get over the line and take care of CJ Stroud?
I agree with a lot of Colin said there. I think I think CJ Stroud is a fantastic talent, but it's kind of unfortunate that the Texans are 2-3 when they really could have a better record. I don't know exactly what it is that they need to do in the fourth quarter games. The Falcons seem to come alive last week and take them out. I think this is a typical game where it's strong point versus strong point and weak point versus weak point when the Texans offense playing against the Saints defense. The Saints defense knows how to shut you down, knows how to pick you off, but I just think CJ Stroud is just smarter and just a bit more just too quick to think and to make the right plays for the Saints to put up enough points to beat him. I think I think that Derek Carr, or the Saints in general, pretty much had a very easy day in Foxborough. I mean, the New England Patriots nowhere stood up to be any good. I think the Texans are just a little bit more battle hardened, a little bit more hungry, a little bit more talented to get over the line in this one. It'll be a close game because I think that they will trade scores early on, but I'm going for a Texans win in this one.
I can't recall the last time in which we did a show where everybody, well, two of the three people on the show had selected the Texans leading into the final person that inevitably is going to make it a full house and take the Texans. No, I'm going to go with the colours, which are as close to the Saints as Colin has on. Colin's probably more Steelers tonight than he is Saints. But no, I'm going to rely on the Saints, and I'm going to rely on this defense to have a plan in place to combat the impressive CJ Stroud, and I think they'll have more than enough in the end to win this game. I think this one will be a little bit easier than other games. I think they might pull away and navigate a victory here. And where the Texans have been very close in a number of games that they've lost, I don't see that in this one. Could be very wrong, but I'll go Saints to win this one. Now, the next one is an interesting one because there's a watch party in Buskers on the Ball on Sunday evening. That is the San Francisco 49ers fan base are all clamoring to get together for Sunday night. I don't know why they picked this one. They could have picked any game the way their season's going, and they would have known a victory was on the way. It doesn't look like Deshaun Watson is going to play. It looks like PJ Walker is going to be quarterbacking for the Cleveland Browns at home as they face the 5-0 San Francisco 49ers. Are the guys in Buskers on the Ball this Sunday, Colin, going to have a good evening? Are they going to be celebrating another victory?
In short, absolutely. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they're going to do. These boots were made for walking. They're going to walk all over you, and that is what the 49ers are going to do. This Browns defense are impressive, but they are going up against a very different beast. They are going up against the most informed team in the league. Can't yet crown them the best team, but they are the most informed team. I think that goes without argument. So impressive thus far, and they can get you every which way, right? Last week against the Cowboys, they just bullied them. They were better on offense. They were better on defense. Talked about Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Chris McCaffrey had a good game. Don't get me wrong, he had a good game, but it was George Kittle, right? Ultimately, next week it could be Debo, it could be Ayuk. They are just so good, and the Browns will, I think they're a stout defense, and it'll be interesting to see how they approach it. But ultimately, I just cannot see them having down QB1, down RB1. I don't think they have enough points to compete with this 49ers team.
Shane spoke on Tuesday night show around whether it's the Eagles or 49ers that right now you would argue who are the number one team within the NFC. I mean, there's legitimate arguments for both sides, but the way the 49ers are playing and the way they did a number on the Cowboys last weekend, the only thing I could see is that Browns defense finding a way to slow them down. But as Colin touched on, with players missing on the Browns offense, it's difficult to see how they can keep up with them. Are you seen the 6-0 49ers by the time Sunday night finishes up?
If it's anything other than a 49ers win, I'll be shocked. I mean, for people who don't know how gambling works, if you put a tenner on the Browns to win this game, what happens is you're going to lose a tenner. It's as simple as that. Like the 49ers have just been in every game they've played, they've found a new way to impress you. And against the Cowboys, when everyone's expecting this to be a 1980s style classic clash. And I know there's a little bit of psychology around the fact that the 49ers kind of have the Cowboys number a little bit, but I mean, every way, you have Brock Purdy, Jordan Mason, Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, George Kittle, they're all just fantastic players, all playing at a peak level in a really well-coached system. The 49ers, I think, are better than the Philadelphia Eagles at the moment. Will that be the case at the end of the season? I don't know, but I don't like this game. As good as the Browns defense can be, and I know they gave up 28 points to the Ravens in the last game, as good as the Browns defense can be, they can slow them down. You can't stop them. It's as simple as that. When you play the 49ers, your aim is to try and keep them to below 20 points and find a way to score 21 or more. That's not going to happen this weekend. My only, I guess, negative point I will say for 49ers fans, and by the way, I know I'm going to be in London. I'm raging on missing this. It's going to sound like great crack. This a meeting in Buskers off the ball. So definitely head down to that, even if you're not a 49ers fan. But one thing I will say is, though, is in the NFL, it's very difficult to hit your peak, hit your kind of purple patch, and to keep that going for the end of the season. It feels like the 49ers are playing at their absolute best now, and it's in October. So I'm just worried about whether or not they can keep that up for December, January, especially because I think around week 12, I'm not quite sure, they have to play the Seahawks, then the Eagles, then the Seahawks again. That's a crucial point that will slow them down. But there's one team that definitely is not going to slow them down. It's this Cleveland Browns team, because frankly, they won't score enough points to outscore Brock Purdy and co.
Colin, there was a 49ers watch party in Leeds last year, if I remember correctly. I think they were playing the Atlanta Falcons. And I remember Sky were covering. It was great hype, and everybody was in there. And the air went down the building as the Falcons beat the 49ers. No, not happening on Sunday. It's as much as I want to see the Browns win to keep up my selection of them making the playoffs, I can't see anything other than a 49ers victory on Sunday evening. 49ers fans will be out celebrating in Temple Temple Bar to all hours, I imagine, in buskers on the ball. Sunday night, 49ers watch party. If you haven't heard of it, check it out on their various different social pages and get down there and enjoy the evening. Now, one team that will be enjoying the evening is the team that's at home, because and I'll go with the Falcons here. I'm going to pick out early. Falcons at home to the Commanders. I'm going to go Falcons on this one. They've won all their home games this season. Going up against the Commanders team that are reeling off that loss last week against the Bears. I know the NFL can be a bit erratic at times, and sometimes when you get blown out, you come back and have a strong performance. But Falcons, and in particular at home, I thought it was a good rebound victory last week, bearing in mind what we saw in London. And they'll be out again looking to push themselves and continue this run within the division. So for me, Falcons to knock off the Commanders. Colin, how do you see this one playing out?
Patsy Cline had that great song, Crazy. And I think if you're a fan of either of these teams, that's how you would be feeling, because both of them would drive you crazy, because the Commanders started it off well, but against the Bears, they were embarrassed. And Del Rio needs to figure that out. Because, when the Bears are doing that, what can other offense potentially do it to you? For the Falcons, they have been really good at times and really poor at others. Shane and I saw them against the Jags, and they had absolutely nothing go right on offense, that they really couldn't get anything going. But last week, Ritter looked pretty good, and they dealt with a Texans team who are vastly improved and who had an awful lot of momentum, and they still managed to get it done. I think the Commanders have real issues on the O-line, and Sam Howell is a young QB. He needs to learn that he has to get rid of the ball. He cannot take the punishment that he is taking. We've seen it with Daniel Jones get injured. We've seen it time and time again in the league. And ultimately, if Howell continues to play the way in which he is, he's going to get injured. I see the Falcons have kind of brought in some receiving help this week. I think they will have enough to get it done at home. I think they will do it. I'm going to say the Falcons get the win in this one.
Shane, Colin referring to the Van Jefferson trade from the Rams during the weekend. Just to his point, Sam Howell has been sacked more times this season than Daniel Jones, and right now everybody will just assume it's Daniel Jones. That's quite telling. Colin was right. It's quite telling that this is the level of play we're seeing from this team, and still they've found ways to win a couple of games. But how do you see this one going? Are you buying the Falcons in this one?
Yeah, you mentioned the Commanders. They can be real mercurial. Sometimes they can come out and they can be quite strong and so surprise you a little bit, and sometimes they can be sort of, if not as bad as you expected, worse than you expected. I think the fact that it's in Atlanta is huge, because Desmond Ridder as quarterback is 5-0 at home, and even when he was a Cincinnati Bearcat in college, he was 22-0 at home. I don't know if he's like allergic to airline food, or if there's something the pressure gets to his head when he travels, because, well, as Colin alluded to, in London, the offense had no plan and didn't know what they were doing. I think if the Commanders have a path to win this, they need to find a way to get their run game going. I mean, the player who had the most rushing yards against the Bears was Sam Howell. We got 4 carries for 19 yards. Brian Robinson didn't really get any yards. Didn't have the O-line to carry forward. So I don't necessarily think that the Commanders have enough to probably put up to the Falcons at home. If this is in Washington, I could see things going differently. But I just think the Falcons, with Bijan Robinson, with the new receiving, with Desmond Ridder playing at home when he's obviously far more comfortable, everything to me is charted up for a close Falcons win, because especially in the second half, they can find a way to, if it's close, find a way to put their stamp on the game and get things done.
Colin mentioned Jack Del Rio. If the Commanders pull off the victory here, I'll treat Fred Flunk to a breakfast in Del Rio's half off Abbey Street, just to celebrate an NFC East victory, because there's not many of them these days when it comes to the Giants and the Cowboys. Unfortunately, the Eagles are the one who are doing all that. Shane, I'll stick with you in the next one, and that is your beloved Patriots on the road in Vegas. And a couple of weeks ago, a lot of people would have felt this was one in which the Patriots would win comfortably, bearing in mind what we saw early on from the Raiders. But felt a little bit that the Raiders had turned the corner on Monday night. I know the Packers didn't play very well, but if they're to win this game, they go back to 500. And despite all the the flack in which Josh McDaniels has got, like in a division, so he can get out of this after 6 games and be 500. It's probably a bit of a result for them. Do you see the Raiders winning this one? Is Jacoby Myers going to come back to haunt the Patriots again, bearing in mind what he did last year when he was a Patriots player?
Yeah, it does feel like it's the New England Patriots versus the New England Patriots tribute act. Only the tribute act are playing much better music. That's the way this is feeling with not necessarily because the tribute act are playing fantastically well, it's because the Patriots have been shockingly bad the last 2 weeks. I mean, the only touchdown that they've got the last 2 games from the plane touchdown in Dallas. I mean, it was ridiculously awful. What I want to see is who is coming to this game more peed off, frankly. Because when Jimmy Garoppolo was running up and down the Raiders sideline on Monday Night Football, doing the whole Tom Brady act, cheering, they're doing the whole LFG and jumping around, surely somebody in the Patriots organization is looking at saying, you can't do that. We can't let him get away with that SH1T. That's not happening. But the problem is, how many people are in that Patriots locker room who were there, who were a part of the Brady bunch, effectively, who were there when Tom Brady was running around and would fight for the honor of their former comrade? Not many. I think the Raiders have a good chance here simply because they're better planned. They're at home. Jimmy Garoppolo is playing better than Mac Jones, quite simply. And when you have Max Crosby staring down the Patriots O-line, that's how they're going to stop everything. Because the Patriots, every time they try to do something, it's either let's go short and let's maybe get 3 yards from screenplay, or they try to go long and it just doesn't connect properly because they don't have the receivers, they don't have the O-line to protect Mac Jones long enough, and Mac Jones can either be very clean or very sloppy. There's no in between. We really want to see, as a Patriots fan, I really want to see a reaction from the Patriots after the last 2 games, but we wanted to see that last week against the Saints and it didn't happen, and I don't think it's going to happen this week. Raiders by touchdown for me this week.
Colin Shane refers to the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch program ended on the 8th of March 1974, and it feels like we're going back that far since the Patriots had a good season since Brady moved on. It's been a difficult few years. And how do you see this one going on Sunday? I know it's a foe within your division, but can you see Josh McDaniels getting one over his old mentor in Bill Parcells? Bill Belichick.
He could, but I think for both Josh McDaniels and for Bill Belichick, I think what will come to mind for both of them, a song made famous by Elvis Presley, but great versions by the Pet Shop Boys and by Willie Nelson, and that is always on my mind, because you cannot tell me that both of these men are not thinking about Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. They both enjoyed great success with him. Life after Brady has been very, very difficult for both of them. I think both of these teams are incredibly flawed, and it will be interesting to see how the respective seasons play out and whether either of these gentlemen are in situ next year. Very interesting conversations, I think, to be had in New England potentially, and what does Bill want to do? And my Raiders fans are none too impressed with Josh McDaniel, thanks to a professional foul by Marcus Peters. They managed to get the victory over Green Bay. I don't know. I think I can. It should be the Raiders, but I just don't know. I don't think I'm probably too scarred from the Patriots over the years. I cannot see a Bill Belichick team having 3 bad games like on the bounce like that, and especially the fact that it is against Josh McDaniels, even though they're on the road. I think maybe it will be, the last bite of a dying snake. But ultimately, I'm gonna go with the Patriots to win. Now, this will be Bill Belichick going back into his bag of tricks. This would be like when United got absolutely battered, and then Ferguson put 6 in midfield. He basically played a 4-6-0 formation against Everton. United got a 1-0 win, kind of got it back on track. I'd say Bill Belichick would happily take winning this game 6-3.
Well, you're talking about snakes. I met Kieran Boyle in town last weekend, and he was teaching me how to kill a snake, and it's actually in the middle of the snake. Chop them in the middle, and that's what I imagine they'll do on Sunday. They'll be chopping them around the middle of the field, with Devontae Adams going up and down the field, and on this Patriots defense. It should be the Raiders. I think it'll be the Raiders. Will it be the Raiders? I'm convinced it'll be the Raiders. I'm not even doubting. This Patriots enigma that you're talking about, Colin, is long gone. That's gone. Those days are gone. There's too many playmakers on this Raiders offense for me. You got Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers is having a strong season. We saw a bit of a breakout game from the rookie tight end on Monday night. I think they've got the players to handle this Patriots team. It's a Raiders victory for me. Closing out the second segment of the show this week is the game in SoFi, and that is the Arizona Cardinals NFC West clash going on the road to face the Rams. And the Rams again played really tough last weekend, Colin. We're on the wrong side of defeat again, but they can certainly walk away from that game, with their heads held high, because they gave the Eagles a really tough game. They gave the 49ers a real tough game at home. Will they get their first home win in the season against this Cardinals team?
I think so. What comes to mind, Gene Autry had a song, Back in the Saddle Again, and essentially that is Sean McVay. He looks like he's loving life with these young receivers, this young team. Aaron Donald is enjoying life as well. I think this will be probably feistier than any of us might have thought at the beginning of the season. I think, if you had talked about this in August, it would have been, my goodness, both of these teams are going to be really struggling. But injuries are really beginning to bite now on the Cards. I still think they'll play hard, but ultimately I'm going to say that Sean McVay and the Rams will have enough to win this one, particularly at home.
Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp last Sunday, Shane, was really effective. He looked like the old kind of Cooper Kupp again, and looked like the old Matthew Stafford. Touchdown, fortunate not to come out the right side of the victory, but having him back is huge. He's straight away, immediately, the connection was there. It looks quite positive for this Rams team right now.
Yeah, and it's amazing how the way we're going to talk about the Rams beforehand is this, they kind of had their one and done Super Bowl, and we're going to have a couple of years before they're back again. But yet, when we see Sean McVay coaching an offense that's working, it just seems to make sense. And we saw that particularly in the first half against the Eagles last week. But I think as both of these teams know by now, you can't only play one good half of football. The Rams didn't score at all in the second half last week against the Eagles. Yeah. Now, mind you, that's the Eagles defense, who are a hell of a lot better than the Cardinals defense. So I think that this is going to be a closer game than we expect. I think this is going to be a game where both of the offense are going to have plenty of room to do a lot of pretty cool stuff and to score a lot. This is going to be a high scoring game, but it's going to be Rams winning a high scoring game, because with Cooper Kupp back, with Puka Nacua, with all the offensive plan that they can work through, and they can really cut through the Arizona defense. I think the Rams can really put up a 50 plus points here. And even though the Cardinals might score high enough again, the Rams will come out as winners this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on the Rams. I think James Conner, for all the struggles his team have had, I think he's been a real bright spot. To lose him, it's a terrible shame. He's gone on IR. They brought in a rookie running back last week who had quite an effective game, got a touchdown, but it's hard to know whether he can really step up. I think the struggles offensively might start to come in this game, bearing in mind that the Rams defense has players that can get at the quarterback. And yeah, I see a good day for this Rams offense. And again, a running back as well. We're talking about the wide receiver. Williams has had a really strong season. They've got players who we never expected to have really strong seasons coming in and being really effective. For me, it's the Rams as well. That closes out the second segment of the Irish NFL show.